I want to talk about 30th anniversary today, in particular, the print runs for the set. So this is one of those videos where there won't be any graphics up on the screen whatsoever. It's podcast style, conversation style. So you know the drill, head for a walk and put the headphones in, go for a drive, pop it on in the car, or of course, pop it on the telly at home while you're doing some housework. Let's talk all things 30th anniversary. Right, first things first, you know the thing about 30th anniversary? It's actually good, like very good. Not perfect, but very, very good. If we look back, typically anniversary sets have actually been quite poor. You go back to 25th anniversary and it was a really weak set, but really, like anyone that argues against that is, I don't know, I think they're just wrong in my opinion. It's not the worst set ever made by any stretch of the imagination, but for an anniversary set, it was weak. And we go back to 20th anniversary, same time. That took so much time for cards to be worth anything inside that set. Even during the massive hype of 20th anniversary, even during the massive hype of 25th anniversary and sets like Evolving Skies, etc., during COVID, that set, yeah, the Elite Trainer boxes were worth a bit, but the cards inside it weren't worth that much. Only recently, during our latest bull run, has 20th anniversary singles and slabs really gone up in price. There are some very low population PSA 10 slabs inside there, but typically we've seen quite weak anniversary sets, and now we have a good one. Now there's parts of it that I would have changed a little bit, but hey, I'm not involved in any way, shape or form in any of that, and even if I was, no one would listen. So, but I'm saying for the most point, it is a very strong set, and because it's a very strong set, it deserves the demand it's currently getting. It does. It deserves it. It's not just artificial demand based off it just being an anniversary set with weak cards in there. It's an anniversary set plus it's strong. Those two things have combined for the perfect storm to create lots and lots of demand for this set. Now let's talk about print runs and a few predictions for it. The first one is, the first thing I notice particularly is that people can actually secure some product. Now, I know down here in Australia, whether you've logged on to EB Games, whether you've gone on to JB Hi-Fi, whenever you've gone on to Kmart, for argument's sake, for the most part, people have got product. Like, yes, okay, there was waiting in queues and it was somewhat difficult for some people, but for the most part, people were able to secure product. Now, there's even stories of Pokemon Center, like I know in the UK, for argument's sake, you know, when it went live to when it went offline, not available, it was hours. And I think the same can be said for the US. It wasn't like it was instantly scalped and if you didn't pick it up in the first 2 minutes, bang, you're gone. No, people can actually get some product at the moment, online, pre-orders. Now, compare that to, say, the UPC from 25th anniversary. That thing was damn impossible to get. You had to get so lucky to be able to get that. But this is the first sign, I think, that the big box retailers have been probably told that their allocation is going to be so strong, like super strong. I think that can be the only thing that explains just how long, I guess, product is staying online for sale for. In the grand scheme of things, I know it's still selling out. Of course it is, because it's popular. Now, the other thing to keep in mind with this set is that there are 5 cards per pack, only 5, and there are, of course, some dedicated classic collection packs, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they have 3 packs inside them. So this brings about a funny point, doesn't it? Because, you know, you think, generally speaking, they've been printing roughly, in round figures, 8 to 10 billion cards per year, really for the last 5 years. And then you're getting 6 sets per year essentially at the moment, which is a lot of sets. And then you divide that number by 6 and you're getting somewhere around 1.5 billion cards per set, aren't you? Like the maths, that's just how it works out. Now, of course, there can be some flow over and some extra print runs of older sets into a new year, but it averages out roughly to be about 1.5 billion cards. Sounds insane, doesn't it, per set? Now, of course, we don't know the real numbers of printing, and these can go into different languages, of course. there's Japanese, there's, obviously, Spanish cards are getting popular in South America, German cards, Italian cards. There's so many different languages that these cards get printed in. But we can tell that there's roughly that many cards printed per year and then per set. So if that's the case, if you're only getting 5 cards per pack, would that then mean there needs to be nearly double the packs to be printed for that to happen? Interesting. Now, with the 5 cards per pack, here's the even more interesting part. What are pull rates going to be like? And this is probably the big unknown. I'm going to touch on singles and some advice on singles towards the end of this video, but that's going to be a massive, massive predictor to singles pricing, just how difficult or easy pull rates are. Now, with dedicated classic collection packs in the UPC, that's going to suggest that, well, maybe classic collections are going to have somewhat similar pull rates to 25th anniversary, where they're actually quite easy to pull. Now, with all that in mind and how easy they were to pull in the 25th anniversary, Charizard's still worth a little bit of money as a raw card. It shouldn't be worth that much because it's very easy to pull. But, maybe based on how the first impressions, that's probably my prediction, is that the classic collection cards are going to be, somewhat similar to pull as the 25th anniversary. Now, with all that in mind, and, I was talking about 1.5 billion cards, surely there is going to be a massive, massive build-up for this set. We already know there is. Now, with that massive build-up, the Pokemon Company International surely needs to sense what they're doing here. They are not stupid in any way, shape, or form. So it's going to mean they're going to have to print more cards. Now, keep in mind the new print facility is not up to scratch yet. So why would you print more of weaker sets when you've got a big, big set coming? I think, there's no mistake that's been made when we've had Perfect Order, Chaos Rising, and Pitch Black just before the 30th anniversary. I think what it allows to happen is some skimming of printing. And look, it could be 5% per set, it could be 10% per set, it could be 15 or 20% per set. And that skimming of less printing for those sets then gets added on to 30th anniversary. I can't see that not happening in some way, shape, or form. So what that means is if your typical print run is 1.5 billion cards across all languages, but let's just say 1 billion of them are English for the sake of this video. I'm not saying that's how many English cards have been printed for each set, but let's say it is. You're going to have to skim some of that off the top, aren't you? So if you're dropping production by 10%, you're doing 900 million of Chaos Rising, you're doing 900 million of Perfect Order, you're doing 900 million of Pitch Black. That's giving you an extra 100 million per each of those sets, so an extra 300 million cards, or pumping it up to 130%, 140%, 150% for the print run of 30th anniversary because you know how popular it's going to be. I just can't see that not happening. So with all that in mind and all that happening and the Pokemon Company being as clever as what they are, I think we're going to see multiple print runs. And that's, of course, it might sound crazy, but I think we certainly will in this climate where, it's been so difficult to get print runs. I think we'd see, one print run of something like Pokemon Center Elite trainer boxes and UPCs. Maybe a small additional restock of them at some stage. This is just a prediction, mind you. I don't have any insider knowledge. This is just me going down the prediction path based off some experience. I think we would see one wave of Pokemon Center Elite trainer boxes and then maybe another small wave. I think we'll see one wave of UPCs and it'll be really heavy. And then I think we would see maybe a big restock at some of the big retailers in the US, like we've been seeing, how you sometimes get the Sam's Club or the Costco or whatever it might be, additional big restocks of UPCs. I think we would possibly see that as well. So maybe a second print run of UPCs. I think that's going to be a very hot product. What is there, 30 packs inside there, plus a couple of classic collection dedicated packs. It's going to be an awesome pickup for people there. And I think we would at least see 2 to 3 waves of regular Elite trainer boxes and booster bundles. And surely they're going to do something like they did with Prismatic Evolutions, where you're getting the exclusive for Costco or whatever it might be with the Elite trainer box and the booster bundles inside there. And I think there is going to be heaps and heaps of ancillary product. The smaller collection boxes where you get, half a dozen packs or 4 packs or 8 packs, they are going to be printed into the absolute ground. Why? Because it keeps us all on the hook. We can't get enough of what we really want, which is all the packs. And the only way for us to get all the packs is in the UPC. We're getting nearly as many packs as what we'd get in a regular booster box from a regular series set. Keep in mind, 30th anniversary, no booster box. So what it means is we're going to have to get more and more and more product to be able to open the packs that we want to open. And there are some very, very strong chase cards inside this set. You cannot doubt that. There's the Gengar, there's Pikachu, there's just... It doesn't need to be... This isn't a video about how good the chase cards are. There are lots and lots of good chase cards inside this set, plus the classic collection. There'll be people wanting to rip and rip and rip. And this is where it, I guess, moves into the next part of the conversation, which is everyone's been saying for so long that something is going to tank the market. There's always this conversation about tanking the market. And you know what? If Pokemon had actually geared up for some skimming of printing from Chaos Rising, Perfect Order, and Pitch Black, which we know you can readily get. Like, they are finally sitting on shelves because people are dedicating and saving money for the 30th anniversary. And they're somewhat weaker sets, aren't they? I don't think that's a mistake in any way, shape, or form. I think that's happened. But with that happening, this tanking of the market, it could have happened if they'd geared up all this extra printing and gone 150%, so to speak, on the 30th anniversary, and it was as weak as 25th anniversary. Sorry, I shouldn't call 25th anniversary weak. I should call it mediocre. Let's say it was as mediocre as 25th anniversary. Well, maybe that would have left products on shelves and slowed down the market, because people in the hobby have probably gone, you've had 3 sort of filler sets or weaker sets, and you've hit us with the 30th anniversary, which was supposed to be amazing, and all of us are hanging on with bated breath, and it's a weak set. Nah, you can keep that to yourself. So that would have, in my opinion, tanked the market. But people have been saying that printing is going to tank the market for ages, since like Surging Sparks, and it just hasn't. In fact, people have been saying that printing was going to tank the market since Chilling Reign, like so long ago. I went to a card show today, and this is in Australia. Someone bought 3 Silver Tempest packs for 70 Australian dollars. They had $25 each. They did them a deal, so rather than paying 75 for 3, they paid $70 and ripped all 3 of them at the show just for a bit of a laugh. And I was like, whoa, like this set they were all printed heavy, but you know what? The demand for it just absorbs it. It really does. You can't question the demand for this hobby at the moment, and the demand for 30th anniversary. It will be absolutely insane. The market will continuously eat up product. It just will. If it ate up Prismatic Evolutions, if it ate up 151, it's going to eat up 30th anniversary. The other really interesting thing about the card show that I went to today, of course, it wasn't just Pokemon, it was a collectibles show, but everyone was just there for Pokemon. Like 99% of people, whether it be the collectibles, the plush toys, the slabs, the sealed, the ripping, like no one was looking at, and I felt so bad for them, footy cards. No one was looking at soccer cards. No one was looking at NBA cards, or barely anyone was looking at NBA cards. Everyone was just there for Pokemon. There might have been, 50 vendors at this show, and 45 of them were Pokemon. It's just crazy, the appetite for it. Now, with all that in mind, with the printing, one bit of advice I really want to give people is singles. Now, I could be wrong with this. I could be, but here's what normally happens. Set comes out, singles are at an all-time high, and then they drop. Why do they drop? Because more product gets opened. What happens when more product gets opened? More supply of that given single hits the market. That's the general rule of thumb. One thing that's confused me a little bit, or one thing that scares me a little bit about 30th, and the advice I would give on that is always wait. Just wait. Try and time the floor of a single. And I know that's hard to do. The one thing that scares me is how good Ascended Heroes was. And I always said to people, just wait, cards are going to drop. But they just haven't, have they? But pull rates are also very, very difficult in Ascended Heroes. Are pull rates going to be that difficult for SIRs inside 30th anniversary? Time will tell. But I will still give the advice about just holding fire on singles. Don't rush out and try and master the set in the first week, because you'll be paying through the absolute nose. Typically, single comes out, more supply hits the market, single price drops. It'll eventually find some sort of floor until printing completely dries up, and then it starts to go back up in price again. Think of 151. 151 was super, super popular, and that still happened with 151. Look at pricing now. It is so much higher than when it hit the floor of the market, and at the floor of the market, it was so much lower than when it first came out in the first week, and everyone wanted to get their hands on the first Charizard, the first Venusaur, the first Blastoise, or the best special illustration rare from the whole Scarlet and Violet era, Alakazam from 151. Well, there you have it. I think that's my predictions around 30th anniversary. It's going to be huge. Just to recap, it's going to be huge. There'll be heaps of demand. Supply will try and keep up. They'll add extra supply because it's 30th anniversary. There'll be a few waves of ETBs. There'll be heaps and heaps of supply of ancillary products so people spend more money. There'll be one wave of Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes, maybe a second small one. There'll be one wave of UPCs, plus they'll then be released as an exclusive product. And that way, it sort of keeps everyone happy. People can get the product. Secondary market remains really, really strong. Pricing of singles remains strong. There's a sealed secondary market as well. Don't think that the Pokemon Company doesn't realize that this happens. They do. They don't just plan it and go, let's print it all so people just open it. They understand the market as a whole. They understand the market better than anyone. There you go. That's my take on the 30th. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. Thanks Collector for sponsoring the channel. I appreciate everyone's support, and I'll catch you all next time.